Hello again. My name is Chrissy. Technically, I've been on YouTube for over 10 years, but now I've decided it's finally time to get serious. Welcome to my new series. Let's go to art school, art school, art school, art school. Now, imagine it. You're a young chickadee just graduating high school or older. I don't know your life. And it's freshman year. You're fresh, bright-eyed, and ready to learn. And you've applied to a college, university, or school of your choice, majoring in art. But then, bam, project, friends, summer class, more projects. Your roommate getting arrested for underage drinking. Next thing you know, you've graduated, 30 pounds heavier, and in a search for a job. Since time can go by in a flash, I've decided to revisit some of my previous school projects. I will not be following my past professor's syllabus strictly. I think that could be a lawsuit. I will be recreating most of my art projects from freshman to senior year, and skipping my least favorite classes, because I'm not going through that hell again. We will be going through freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, because I surely have forgotten everything I've learned since graduation. Now let's get started. Assignment 1, Drawing 1. This assignment has everything to do with perspective, and if you don't know how to use it, I also barely know how to use it. The tools you'll need include pencil, paper, and a ruler, and a ruler, and a ruler, and another ruler. Oh, I've lost my most important ruler. This project specifically focuses on two-point perspective, which Google defines as lines that converge into two vanishing points. And your vanishing points are where all your lines appear to converge. Think of things like roads, railroads, bridges, buildings, all things that converge into one direction. Now, 2015, little Chrissy started college, and this is what I produced for this assignment. Drawing 1 was a beginner's class, so many times there are people taking it who aren't art majors. They usually think that drawing will be an easy A, but they usually drop out within half a semester. Beginner art classes focus more on the technical side of art in order to build your foundational understanding. For this brief demo, before we jump in, we will first be creating the area where you will put our cubes. First, taking our ruler, we'll create the vanishing points on either side of our page. Then you'll join the 2 points in the center, creating your horizon line. Darn, you can barely see that. It's fine, We're fine. We'll make it darker later. Remember all of those cubes that we would all draw in our notebooks and random pieces of paper in class when we weren't paying attention, or class got a little too boring? That's exactly what we're going to be doing today in this practice area. Just going to be drawing 3-dimensional cubes, but first we have to create the 3-dimensional space for it, which is really just going to be using your ruler and making lines that go towards your vanishing point. Any cubes that will be above your horizon line, you'll be able to see the bottom of the cube, and any cube below the horizon line, you'll be able to see the top of it. Now please excuse me while I draw the jankiest lines possible. For some that are challenged like me, even using a ruler properly is difficult. And your squares will come out crooked. Because for some reason, I have not learned how to slow down. I'm not going to finish all of these lines because that would also take forever, and I feel like this video may reach an hour, and I don't think I want to edit that. We'll start making our cube by picking a random area and creating a vertical line. It's easier to use a space where your lines converge than creating your sides of the square by following the lines going towards your vanishing points, and then connect. Now you have 2 sides of your cube. The more you extend the lines going towards your vanishing point, the more elongated your shape will be, easily turning a cube into a rectangle. All we're doing is tracing the lines now and going towards our vanishing point. Now, I'm also gonna create the bottom of the cube. If all of these lines are confusing you, it'll be really easy to just shade a certain side. That'll help you more in looking at it in a 3-dimensional way. And I also think I'm going to do a second cube, showing how if it's below the horizon line, you'll see the top of it. And look at that. I needed more lines. So again, we're going in with a vertical line, trying to match it up to another point so that all we have to do for our sides are follow the other lines to the vanishing point. But again, I still didn't have enough lines to make sure that everything's even, because if it's not even, it's not a cube, it's a rectangle. And then we're just gonna finish off the points on the top. So now, as you can see, the one above the horizon line, we can see the bottom of the cube, and the one below the horizon line, we can see the top. Now let's get into the big boy. This paper I'm using is going to show our finished product. I wanted to mimic how big we have to do our projects in college, but without doing it on such big pieces of paper. Also because I don't own all those big pieces of paper anymore. And if I did, I would just make a mess everywhere trying to find it. I think this sketchbook is 11 by 17. Oh, it is. So, sketchbook I'll be using is a Collins & Davidson sketchbook. It's an 11.5 by 16.5. I originally got the sketchbook studying abroad in Ireland, so I haven't used it much because it's too precious to me. It's great paper for drawing and inking. I haven't tried any other mediums with it, like watercolor, because I'm not really a watercolor artist. But maybe one day we can find out. I know this paper does warp a bit because it's not watercolor paper and it's not really made for liquids. But it's great for sketching, it's great for inking. In college, the paper size that was basically for every project was 16 by 24. But now I'm a freeing woman. I'm my own agent. Now, a lot of these class assignments are either really basic because it's just the fundamentals, so they take 30 minutes, or they're tedious and take 5+ hours. This project really just basically consists of making a cube again and again and again and again, but make it interesting. We can add tiles, we can add stairs, overlapping. In drawing one, we had way more stipulations about what needed to be there, but because we're not ruled by a classroom right now, let's just go wild. Let's just see what we can do, see what we can get, knowing what I know. I'm just gonna create the vanishing point, just gonna create my 2 vanishing points and my horizon line, and then we're just gonna go through. We're gonna create all of our lines and create this cool 3D techno kind of field. So I wanted to do this first cube sort of in the center, but not, because I didn't want it to be my full focal point, but I just wanted it to be big enough that my page wasn't empty. Oh, one thing I do want to say about making your lines for your horizon point, for your horizon line, and your perspective is don't make anything too dark, because you're gonna have to erase all of these lines. Everything that's not your cubes and your final cubes, you're gonna have to erase all of them. So be careful in creating these lines. Now, if I remember correctly, back in my freshman year, I think we did this project for about 3 classes. And then I did an all-nighter because I had just done a film class that really got me into Charmed. And so while I was in my drawing 1 class, because it was at night too, so this drawing 1 class was at night, and I was on our little drawing horses, the most uncomfortable things in the world. On our drawing horses, I would have my phone right in front of my sketchbook, just playing, just going through Charmed. And that's how I got through school. So for some reason, I don't know why I did this. I don't know why I'm doing this. Is I didn't make my first one a cube, and I think I got confused. But this second one is definitely a cube. But I know as soon as I did one of those faces, the line to one of my vanishing points was just so dark that I was like, this would be nice longer and not as short. So I tried to do a really long one that was coming towards us. And then also with drawing these cubes, I like to focus on the sides, like, because each side is a face. And if I focus on that face and that comes out right, I'll be able to do the other sides. And then why just have a bunch of cubes when they can be transparent? You can see the inside. Oh no. I kind of went off kilter with one of these squares, and it doesn't match any of my horizon lines, which would actually mean that there's more than 2 points in my perspective. But I'm going to rectify this, at least on this one. I know I'm going to do it again. One thing I don't want since we're doing boxes and cubes, I don't want it to be boring. I want it to be like you can either walk into the space, or you can go through the cubes, or you can go through the boxes. And I'm not even really a planner. I'm just like, let's see what feels right and hope it looks cool. My plan most of the time usually is a box and a box and a box and a box and a box. But then also a box can be really flat. It doesn't have to be long. And I know that's what my process was with this big boy. Please excuse the white that consistently shows up on my hand. Today was a creative day, and that meant face paint. And so every time I rub my face, it appears in my hands. So with this big one, because it was so big, and I know all my boxes were gonna more or less be regular boxes, I wanted it to be different than all of the others. And so basically I wanted it flat, but I also wanted it to look like you could still go through it. I probably shouldn't have made that one angle on it, but I digress. But so now that that's so big, I need other things that are big to try to balance out what I've done. Oh, we're going for more angles. So the more angles you have, that makes it not a 2-point perspective. So I'm saying right now, I kind of already failed. I failed this assignment basically because I've now created more perspectives than the assignment asked for. But it looks cool, so I'm keeping it. I will say with perspective, just remember, if it's closer to you, it's gonna be larger. If it's further away, it's gonna be smaller, it's gonna have less detail. But I say this, I know this, but do I do it? And stairs. Stairs were a requirement in this assignment when I was in school. But it was the worst thing for everyone I knew in that class. Because somehow, and it's not somehow, because this is true, it was math. It was math to do it. All our demonstrations she gave us, the videos she gave us, math. And I sat there with my newly 18-year-old brain, and I was like, I don't understand a thing. Because while I made it through school, I was in AP Social Studies and for writing. I sat myself down in those regular classes and knew my limits. And I remember sitting there, I was like, why is she making this so hard? And no one understood how to do stairs properly, which was really sad because it was a requirement for this project. And so I remember I figured out a way that was easy for me. And I don't know if me finding out the easier way was cheating myself into learning a new way. But I found a way that was easier than me, and then I had a little circle going on in the drawing one room at like 7 p.m. at night. And now I get to show you guys as well. One thing I didn't want to do is create too many overlapping things because they would be tangents. And I did that with this box. Whoops. And so the only way in my mind that I could rectify it, because I wasn't making it bigger, because then I would have touched my flatter square in that area. So I left the tangent. And then I just created another box, more so that it was going down into it. So if I couldn't fully break it up, I would at least create visual interests to not just lead the eye into that one direction. And now we're making the stairs. And the easiest way to make stairs for me is you have all of your already existing lines going on. So then you just create more lines in the middle of them. And that's going to be basically that divot of where you would step. And then you're just going to create vertical, horizontal, vertical lines going down. And then you're gonna go across horizontally and then down and then across horizontally, down, across, down, across, down, across. That is the easiest way I can explain how to do steps. This is more an abstract kind of piece, so I'm flipping my canvas to see, will this look better upside down? Because just because of the way that I'm drawing it doesn't mean that's the way that it should be presented. Some of the best paintings in the world have been put upside down by accident, and people still appreciate it. There's more than one way to flip a pancake. And if you want to make things more visually interesting, just go in and out, up and down, through, inside. And now that this piece is so left heavy, what better way than drawing a big L on the right? Oh wait, hold on. Now that this piece is so right heavy, what better way than drawing an L on the left? Because I don't know what else to do. All right, and so I think I'm stopping here today because I actually really like how this came out. Except for the one place that I, for some reason, created a difficult perspective. So now we're gonna move on to our inking. You can use many things for inking: Sharpie, a pen, a marker, pen, regular pen, microns. I'm not that big a fan of microns though. This one marker, that's a Papermate Flare. It's just thick enough to where I can see my lines, especially with it right now, this being so busy. And then I'm just gonna go through and I'm going to ink it. If you really want to play with the perspective, everything that's closer to you, make your lines bolder, make them thicker, and that'll really push the perspective. But I didn't do that here. I'm just going through and inking now. Inking my most important lines. And if you find yourself getting confused, I would try to erase, but erasing right now, at least for me, erasing would confuse things. I used the kneaded eraser to lighten up some of my lines, but then that confused me. As an added bonus, after you finish inking, if it feels unfinished to you and you need color, you can use colored pencils to color in all of your cubes. It'll give it more personality. Back in my freshman year, that was actually extra credit, and I never did it because I was too lazy to do it. But all of the finished results looked really cool. And it was also, not only was it for extra credit, but it was also if you were resubmitting it for a higher grade. And now we're done. But here's our finished product. I really like it. It feels like this was something and then it just deconstructed itself and everything's just floating. That's what I like about this one. Versus my other one, which granted, I spend more time on that one, but I feel like there was less artistic freedom in it because I didn't know what I was doing and I was doing it for the first time. This one to me is really cool. My last one in our art critiques, everyone just kept saying how it reminded them of Minecraft. And I was just like, okay. But this one was really interesting. Now, there are some mistakes here and there with my inking. This also happened in my previous one too, but I think since I had more cubes in my original version, you saw less of my mistakes. And since everything's kind of just floating in the air now, you can see some more of them, but the goal is not perfection. It was to create and redo, and I did it. I've done it. I'm not going back. Again, maybe. Who knows what it's going to be like in a couple years. But this was really fun, and I really hope to continue the series. So, fingers crossed if you'll see me next week. Class will still be in Drawing 1, but we'll be focusing on a different project. On Assignment 2, the elements of a shadow, and all that goes with it. All right, now what do you think?